Hello.
Hey Sabrina, Crystal said she has a work thing she's got to go to, so I was going to do hers quickly.
Okay.
Uh, I told you I love the brand. It came out well. Um, I have a little bit of an issue with the type sort of riding over this wave. I feel like it should have its own space a little more.
Okay.
This template is nice. It's kind of simple. Um, like wherever it's white, I want you to use a color instead of some type.
Okay. Okay. And I was going to say right now, I had in the text, I did mention that my templates are not matching my mock-up exactly, but I just wanted to throw this out there to make sure it was acceptable. So
Yeah, sure.
I'll make sure to get that fixed.
So, Crystal, you're on a good path with this brand. I think you're doing well. You know, you got the voice of the brand. Um, Add a descriptor line that explains this soap.
Okay.
Uh, so that makes it distinctive from your creative brief. For people with s- photosensitive skin, or I don't know how you say it. It's just like you got to think about it a little bit and give it a nice descriptor line.
Okay.
Um, and just right now the white areas just sort of feel almost like unfinished.
Okay.
I guess because you had so much color in some of the other elements.
Yeah. And I'm having a hard time finding a color to go underneath the logo that fits well. Because I did try to bleed the whole box, flood it with
Yeah,
color.
sure.
But I'm having a hard time with the colors, finding something to go underneath it that just works
I
well
would
with.
try a really, really desaturated version of your assigned color, like
Okay.
almost to white, just if it gives a little bit of tone in there instead of just straight white.
Okay.
Why not
Uh,
trying the same blue that you've chosen as your background to comp these up?
yeah, this
Yeah.
background.
Yeah. And that's actually why that color is there, because that's one of the colors I was playing with. um, but it to me personally, it didn't look good, and I even tried a almost white variation of it, and me personally, I just didn't care for it.
Sure.
Okay.
So, this is what I'm saying. You're in really good shape. Add a descriptor line and experiment a little and see where you come out.
Okay.
But other than that, you're in good shape, looking good.
Okay, cool.
The yeah. I don't know if you've ever used Lightroom much. Not Lightroom Classic, but regular Lightroom. But this mock-up template that you have, can you scroll back up? They've added something in the latest edition where you can just isolate one color at a time. So if you wanted to take that template into Lightroom and just take the orange flowers and maybe turn them more to the yellow, you could do that and see if that just makes the whole thing work better.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Something fun to play with.
I know I'm pretty like my job, I work in Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator all day. So I think I could figure out a way in Photoshop to do it, because Lightroom is not one of my fortes.
But Lightroom, not Lightroom Classic, but Lightroom, it's so easy.
Okay.
I've never
I
tried
guess
that.
yeah, I'll have to definitely research some videos then, because I would like to learn it. So okay, well, I appreciate your guys' feedback.
All right.
Good job, Crystal.
Thank you.
All right, Tiffany. Uh, I'm guessing you're in section 1, but I'm not sure. Do you recognize a page, the similar work?
Tiffany, I don't believe that name is in one of my classes.
Below Crystal, right where we were.
You said, okay.
I got to refresh this page. Did you just submit it?
Yes, she said
There it
yes.
is. Okay. Oh yeah, looking good. 3. Okay. You did a fake window, which looks very realistic. This is good use of shadow and stuff. It looks a little hazy, like maybe you could increase the saturation there a little bit. But it's good. I think a lot of people struggle with what is this going to be like three-dimensionally when you're working flat. I do like this pattern. I don't know, the overall blue, it doesn't feel like cookies that much, whereas the red feels more like cookies. This looks really good. Wonder if you could put this blue pattern on the flaps, like these flaps here. Or maybe underneath them. You're getting love from Crystal too. Sabrina, you got any thoughts for her?
If you can scroll back up just a little bit. So the nutrition label feels really close to the edge, just a little visual tension there. So I would leave a little bit more padding and margin space. And then you have to put like I would recommend just putting white behind it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be white.
And then same with the barcode, just put white behind it. And then you have that whole other side of next to the nutrition facts to maybe like tell brand story, like, how did it start? Why is it named what it's named? Or just that kind of stuff, any type of secondary elements,
You need
country of
ingredients.
manufacture, all of that content. What I see looks really good. So just a couple extra steps to finish it.
Yeah. This is good. The one thing that bugs me is that this crops off. I know this is tough with this template, this mock-up template, to get it exactly right. But the fact that it cuts off there, and then what I thought is if you took this panel and put that on the bottom here, so it'd be on this panel and this panel, you'd sort of have that extra little pop of blue, and you probably wouldn't notice that cut off as much.
But good job with all the secondary elements too.
Yeah, look, I see the way the little Saturn like sort of bumps into the window.
Yeah.
I mean, this is great
I
stuff.
like that, yeah.
Nice job, Tiffany. And rarely do students get the window right. I think it's like inner glow with sort of a dark. I think that's what does it. But it usually doesn't look as realistic as this. I just feel like we're looking at it through a cloudy window. All right. So, Tiffany, you feel clear about what you're doing?
She said, thanks. I was feeling unsure about this part. I do. Thank you.
All right, great. All right, next up, Adriana. Adriana, remind me again. Oh, there you are. Yeah. I just looked at this on Slack. Nice job. Looks good. You're having a little bit of issue with the template. So if you can address that with the mock-up template, you'll be in good shape. I'm sure Omar told you how great it was. This pattern worked out well. It's like a low contrast pattern so that you can put type over it and it works well. Your logo stands out well, but it also plays nicely with other elements. This font is a little hard to read, but.
And I think too, like the visual hierarchy of that kind of competes with attention. I would scale that down as well.
Scale down this type?
Yeah, and the type on the second panel too.
This is kind of screaming at me. Yeah, you don't see it in the mock-up, but and this is a wonderful image of chocolate, rainbow, red something. My wife has been watching the Great British Baking Show, and it's like when they pour that mirror glaze over. That's what this looks like.
So yeah, just make sure you put the white behind the nutrition label and just play with the typographic hierarchy. And
Yeah. So Adriana, you're asking about the other two designs. I'm only seeing one here. What am I missing? Oh, you still haven't done them. You're like, what should I do? Like, I've already hit a home run. Now what do I do? All right. So this is yeah. So Adriana, this is the thing. You're safe. So now experiment, play. Make a duplicate of this, but maybe shift some of the colors. Try things that you might not think would work and see if they work. The more experimentation you do, the more you'll learn. So that's what I would love to see in the other two. Is that helpful?
yes.
All right.
Can she also add a contrasting
Oh,
color?
of course, yeah. So you're not locked into this palette at all. You know, throw in a blue and see what that does. You know, maybe purple would play nice with these brown colors. So this is where you really kind of, this is where you're going to learn color theory, like this last few days. So how about it? All
We
right,
have Joanna next.
Joanna. What is your, oh, there you are. I'm starting to get an instinct about it. Joanna, I thought these looked nice. Sabrina, this is your section, but
Yeah.
let
So
me just,
I think she did a really good job, incorporating the Southwest motifs. Can you scroll back up? Thanks. With the flap and all of that. The color scheme is so harmonious. It works really well. Can you scroll down just a little? So I'm thinking this is your top choice. I can see why. I think you have good visual hierarchy. The only thing I'm wondering is, obviously if this was placed in the cookie section, then people could ascertain that it was cookies. But I'm wondering if there should be a visual. I don't know. I'm not saying it's
yeah,
right
I
or
thought of
wrong.
that too. Like if there was a cookie sort of cropped into this shape at the bottom, just sort of coming in a little bit.
So that might be something worth experimenting with to see. And then I also am just wondering for the side panel, if there's more content that you could add. So
Yeah, there's numbers. She mocked them up.
So
All,
on this one, I think it's just a little redundant with the logo mark. I would think in terms of using it as a pattern rather than using the logo in solid form, maybe it could just be, solid and become a
like a
pattern
silhouette.
that way. Yeah, and scale it down. The scale is bothering me a little bit, so maybe you could just tweak that one a little bit for that.
She picked up the flavor cues really good with Mandarin and
Yeah. So yeah, just a couple, just experiment just a little bit more and see if some photography with the vector would complement each other well and let people recognize it more immediately. Crystal is like the encourager of the class. She's
yeah,
always
cheerleader.
yeah.
This is probably one of the better executions of this brand that I've ever seen. So it really looks good. Very professional looking in general. I noticed like you have this pattern sort of cattywampus here and it looks like you fixed it. I'm just curious how you did that because it looks like there's a little bump there. So just so you know, if you select any shape in Illustrator that's filled with a pattern, you can use the rotate tool and uncheck rotate objects and only rotate the pattern inside the object without moving it. which is really useful, particularly in this one, because yeah, you got this all straightened out. She figured it out.
Yeah, so just double click the rotate tool and then it'll give you the option like scaling the pattern or, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. You can check and uncheck the box right there. As opposed to doing it arbitrarily, like with your shift key and all that.
Right. All right. So
We have Leslie now.
they're coming in like one at a time, just perfectly. So Leslie, I just was looking at yours.
I was the first page you were just on.
This page.
Yeah, underneath. That's me right
There you are. All right, Maritime Soap. You worked out your logo well. Your typography, the hierarchy's better. It's a little so logo lockup. This type is now you've kind of gone a little bit too far the other way. Like this may be a little too big,
Okay.
but it's okay. So I mean, overall, your logo is improved significantly. You have a descriptor line, and then you have the word soap. This just feels off of the order that it should be. Like soap should be tucked up with maritime, and then the deep cleansing that should go underneath everything else. You've got a super complex net weight. This is like for international use or something.
No, it's actually, I was looking at the packaging and I'm saying, you know what? I can't put body wash in there. And I'm like, wait, I can put a bunch of bars in there to sell it as a group of bar soap.
Oh, you were thinking about the dimensions. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I had like 8 bars in that package.
Well, let's go ahead, Sabrina.
I just said it's bulk.
Yes.
Yeah, bulk. Yeah, it's Costco. While it's admirable to make that so realistic, it feels a little distracting for some reason. So maybe because it's the only black thing on the whole page, but
Okay, so simplify it. Just
I
go
would,
back to
yeah,
one
maybe
bar.
make it into that dark blue.
Okay.
The white background bothers me a little. I feel like it should have some sort of fill, some sort of texture, a very light tint, something.
Okay.
Of course, like you're still working on this, so you've got a couple more options to work on. Think about a pattern. Patterns can be really useful. You could make a cool pattern out of the little anchor, maybe.
I actually am doing that on my second and third one. I have the navy blue anchor and I also have the gray color anchor. And I was like switching the pattern in between that.
Good.
And playing with like bricking, the brick style with
yes,
layers.
brick and row.
Yes.
Great. I think you're making good progress. So.
Okay. Only thing were we supposed to put ingredients? I'm like, do I put ingredients with soap? I've seen it.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
The one thing from the branding standpoint is it's supposed to be a little bit like sort of, for working men on, who work on the pier and stuff. And right now it feels a little more feminine than that. I don't know, not even feminine, just sort of like more general use, So maybe like, and instead of saying deep cleaning moisturizer, the deep cleaning part is great, maybe it's got a scent, like, oh, you got fresh ocean scent. That's good. Yeah.
And I think it's hard working on the description in the back, like telling them what kind of soap.
Yes.
Or maybe I should change that towards the front.
Well, no, I think that this is fine. What I'm saying is when you look at this overall, try to think about that aspect of it as you add elements, like how do I make it a little more appealing to the hardworking man out there?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure. You're making good progress. It's awesome. All right. So we're running through these. All right. I'll just do Deja right now. So Salty Dog, you've made some good progress. Everything at an angle feels a little weird to me, but I don't know, kind of works. I like this pattern better when it's got a fill behind it, but I might even take this wood texture that you've got here and overlay that with a very light opacity or something and try different opacities to see what it does and maybe give it a little more texture so it's not as graphic. because I think the wood texture really adds a lot to this brand. Sea salt caramels is a little hard to read color contrast wise with that background. And this is the fact that everything's at an angle except for the nutritional facts. Just like calm it down a little bit. Maybe the like to be different. Not sure what that means. Maybe that's not at an angle. Yeah, and I definitely wouldn't put the net weight at an angle. I would put that parallel with the horizontal. You got any thoughts for her, Sabrina?
And then she just has some text that's really close to the edge. Remember that causes visual tension?
Yeah. Yeah. Give yourself some margin on these panels. Yeah, that's the ingredients of caramel. Butter, sugar, Karo syrup, evaporated milk. It's really not a health food. All right. And we did this one, and we did this one. Oh, here. Jessica, so you listened to my feedback. You've improved your logo significantly. You're adding a fantastic texture. This sort of bluish purple color with this brown work really well together. I applaud you on that color choice. I'm not sure when this is assembled. You see, you get this little stuff poking out at the top. Just the words cactus cookie. I feel that's odd. So I wouldn't put the logo there. It'd be nice to have your full logo lockup on the primary display panel. So I would try to work that out. I mean, right now, you've got the name. I know you love this font. It is a beautiful font. But your whole logo should be somewhere on the front. Net weight. See, this is what I say. Put that on first so you don't have to like throw it in at the last minute and make it work in your design. I know you're still working on this. You got other options. So start with putting the net weight on there, put your full logo on there, and then add other elements so that you don't get caught in this trap. But your use of color and design elements is really come along. So I'm encouraged by that. You got any other thoughts for her?
No, those are my thoughts too. It looks like she put it looks like the right barcode on the flat panel, but then when it's mocked up, it somehow looked like the other kind. I don't know. So.
Yeah, so, and it's highlighted, so this is like a screenshot or something. I don't know. All right, Katie, so you've improved your logo. It's better, but I don't know why you put it on the side instead of the front. This is your primary display panel here. So this should have the net weight, should have the descriptive line that's up there, and it should have your full logo. I still think you have an issue with contrast. There's a lot of deeply saturated colors everywhere, so there isn't like sort of a way for the eye to rest a little bit. Like this, I just think this green is not working with this palette. This has better, is better on that issue because it's got this lighter color. But again, your primary display panel has to have the key elements. This image of cookies in a box, like you've created complexity here that you don't need because you've got the skyline and the box.
It'd be fun to do a die cut window.
Yeah, of the city and then have the cookies showing through.
Yeah.
You could consider that.
Yeah.
Take a look at some of the inspiration we've given you, like the die line and some of the other sites, and look at cookie packaging. And I think you've got like just a little too much going on. You sort of need some breathing room. Putting this up here, so you're treating this like it's one big page, which it's not, because each panel sort of has its own criteria. So just putting this up there, no one's going to see that. That should go on the front. And you've got like two different sort of taglines. Indulgent treats from the Big Easy. I think that's a better line. but try to fit it all into that panel and make it work. I was trying to articulate what's going on with this green and the purple, why I feel like that's not working. So, do you have ideas?
Was that her because it was Louisiana or something?
Yeah, it's from New Orleans.
So I think that one of the things, like there's the 60-30-10 rule. So maybe the green could just be 10% and just be like a minimal accent color. And, maybe the yellowish color could be more of the,
Yeah,
30.
like this color. Yeah.
Yeah, so it just maybe is a disproportion of how to use the colors, because you want like a dominant color, subordinate color, and then an accent color. The green, obviously, it does have the connotation, but it doesn't always work so well in making food appetizing.
Yeah. She tried this one too. I kind of like this as stars as a pattern. It's like a little too much of a good thing, and you've got that cityscape. The cityscape is complex, so I wouldn't use it other than in the logo. I mean, we did talk about a window, but I mean, it just, I think like putting it in multiple places doesn't work because it's too complicated.
And that becomes redundant.
Yeah. This is a little better design. So green, purple, and yellow. So,
Maybe just let go of the green.
yeah. I don't know. Like, what are the Mardi Gras colors? Now I can't even think of them.
The beads, yeah, there are a lot of green beads, gold.
Well, they have a
beads.
specific meaning. The meanings of the colors. Mardi Gras history. Well, there you go. There's a whole site on that. There's that green. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know. Let's look at visually images. Yeah, so green, yellow, purple. That's what she's doing. Sometimes it works better. So you see with this yellow is more orangey and this green is a little softer. The purple is pretty strong. It's a matter of some sort of balance because they are three. I guess orange makes
in a way, yeah, it looks like secondary colors.
Yeah, so this is secondary triadic that way.
Yeah.
With the yellow, it's not.
And so the danger is just when everything's in the same hue and saturation level, it doesn't provide adequate color contrast. So,
Right. I like this palette right there. Steal
that's
that
a
palette.
play off of that.
Yeah. All right. So, Katie, my heart goes out to you. This is a tough one. Do the best you can to get everything onto one panel. Consider what we're saying about saturation and brightness. You can play with these attributes of the color in Illustrator really easily using the Recolor Artwork tool, just to give yourself some options and see what looks best. And if you want one-on-one, let me know, all right? All right, that's section 1. Section 2, and we're starting with Nemke.
Yeah, I gave him feedback already on his logo, particularly what I wanted changed. So I'm not seeing that. And that seems like the entire panel is like the logo. So I just think, scale the logo down and then provide a little bit more visual hierarchy in your typographic scale. And is it original scent, or what does it mean by original? I'm not quite sure. I would preferably like the net weight on the right side if possible, just a personal preference. And then on the side where you have the ingredients and descriptive, I don't know, the scale is just very large. So go and look at real examples, even look in your linen closet and just see, the way that is done. So definitely we have a scale issue. So remember that white space is your friend. And what it does is it makes the star of the show shine. And if you put too much stuff in a space, it's a Latin term called horo vacui. It's where we get our word for vacuum, and it literally means fear of empty spaces. And that's the wrong way to design. So.
Wow, I never heard that. Latin term.
Yeah, so.
You had a classical education at Hogwarts, didn't you?
I went to school in England for 3 years.
Yeah, I got that. All right. Stephen.
So, so I've asked him to switch up the logo a little bit too with the type of, because the type is stretched. So I'd like to see that done, and then place the white behind the nutrition facts and maybe a little bit more of a descriptor line. What kind of, is it deep roasted, Colombian? Tell us a little bit more about the brand.
It's the coffee that makes you smarter.
And then green usually has a connotation of decaf. So is it decaf? If not, you may want to play with a different color.
Well, green is his assigned color.
Okay, that's interesting.
But he doesn't have. But that doesn't mean he has to use it flood. Everywhere.
Yeah. So maybe, yeah. So possibly like Brainiac is in green, and he could use a different background color. But like you said, that has a chalkboard feel to it. So choosing a dark color might be really good to give that visual appearance.
Yeah, and since this is coffee that makes you smarter, I would think you'd want to say that on the front somewhere. It's kind of an impossible product. Like it has some magical quality. All right, we did Joanna, and there we go. Jacqueline Calderon.
So swing set snacks, popcorn. What
So Swing Set Snacks is kind of a playful, youthful brand with like candy flavored popcorn. Think of like Cracker Jack type thing.
Yeah. So my initial reaction is that she cropped the logo to make it work. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's apropos, or if it should be tweaked so that the logo is more of the logo lockup. So I like the logo. I like the the font that she selected for the logo. I think that you should contrast popcorn in a different typeface, and remove the stroke around popcorn. I'm wondering if the whole background should be that like soft yellow, and then maybe the popcorn could be white. So flip-flopping those two. And then for your screenshot down below, when it's highlighted in pink, it's obviously a font that's missing from your system.
That's right here.
So that's why you'll want to like export it rather than do a screenshot if you don't have the font. I like that you've added a little bit more of the brand story and some visuals on the back. Those are strong. Is that the ingredients is on there too? I can't tell.
Yeah, ingredients. I think that's what that is.
And then a little bit. Can you zoom in just a little bit more, please? So as you get into typography, you said they take typography next month?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you get into typography next month, you'll learn about a poor little term called an orphan, and an orphan is one word left on the bottom of a line. It's lonely. So in the future, you don't want to have any orphans. As you learn about that, you'll start to see it more and make appropriate adjustments. So, and then of course I can tell it's a screenshot because you also have more text than your area text box allows, and that's why they have that red box there with the plus sign. I'm not a huge fan of, stars.
This?
Yes. So
Violator.
yeah. So you
It's
have like,
funny that students add violator because, like, as a designer, this is like something they come in and say, "Hey, we want to add this," and you're saying, "No, you're going to ruin my design."
yeah. So find a different way. Maybe it's taking one of the popcorns and putting it in a contrasting color, and then the text can sit
Yeah.
on that. But find something else that suits the brand. That's just not complementing what you have. So you have a lot going on, but continue to play with the visual hierarchy and the logo lockup and just a couple minor changes.
And I'd move this net weight to the right where there's nothing blocking it.
Yes, yes.
All right. David Shaman T.
Okay, so he made the changes to the logo that I requested.
Mm-hmm.
I think that my initial reaction is that you kind of broken away from your color scheme. The background color works fine, but the darker brownish color, I don't think it's complementing your scheme and harmonizing everything. So I would consider, possibly more of your purple or more of the green instead of that third color. So this particular scent is the hibiscus flavor of the tea. So I think that the side panel with the hibiscus flowers, that's visually interesting. The text looks like it could be rotated a little bit more. It looks like you have too much leading. And so again, next month you'll get into that. And that's just a space in between lines. So I think the font, I think it's just a little too big. And then there's too much space in between the lines. So again, don't be afraid to have negative space, white space. So it's okay if the paragraph is small and you have more breathing space before the flowers on that panel. So I think in that particular panel, the one your cursor is on, I think the elements have a similar weight distribution. So they're kind of competing for attention and they have a different feel to them because the logo has that black stroke around it. And then these elements just feel like a, totally different style. So I would find a harmony in your style. I don't think that you need those yin-yang-y shapes. I think the hibiscus flower alone is sufficient. And I'm thinking maybe you could experiment with a different color for the hibiscus flowers. I'm thinking based off of your purple and your green, the pink flower would look better.
Yeah, you can use that Lightroom technique for that, huh?
Peter, how do you feel about all that honeycomb on that one panel?
Well, I like it. It's definitely a flavor cue, like for me. Like I'm like, oh, this is sweet, and so and it blends nicely into this background, this parchment-like.
Yeah.
But you were saying yellow, and this is sort of an orange yellow, and I think yellow would work well.
Yeah. So I'm trying to understand: is it honey flavored tea or is it hibiscus flavor?
It says hibiscus honey.
Okay.
For alliteration purposes.
Okay. So I'm actually wondering if we could take those hibiscus flowers and put them on the honeycomb and then put the two on the same panel. The honey and the hibiscus, I think you could scale that text down and it could be on the same panel. It would logically make more sense for the person reading it, to have that background of the ingredients on the same panel. And then, the other panel, you could, use your discretion of what you would want to include. It could be brewing instructions, how long to steep, things like that.
She's got honey there, hibiscus there. So what you're saying, and I agree, is put it both on here, ditch the yin yang, because that's like a secondary logo or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the combination of these two images give the full flavor. And if it's more of a yellow flower with this golden honey color, it won't steal from the logos. it'll enhance it actually. Sounds
So I
good.
hope that's helpful. Good job.
All right. Section, let's zoom out a little bit. All right, section 3. So Deshay, your work in progress. You heard me talk about your icon, so you've fixed some things. You want to have a lockup, which is icon logo type. So your logo type should travel with the icon. Right now, it's like you're reconstructing your logo every time you use it, which is really arduous and leads to inconsistency. So make sure you understand how to do that. This should be your primary display panel here, not here. So move that to the back. And you're experimenting with color in a good way, and I feel like that reflects the brand, but it's a little preliminary right now. So keep going, make sure you lock up that logo, and I can't wait to see what you do with the rest. Crystal, we looked at, and this one, and we're on to section 4.
That was a fast one. Okay.
Yeah, because we did it already. All right, so here's Eleanor. I see some progress.
So I asked him to make some changes to the logo itself because we have like 3 separate elements: the brand name, the Mountain View, and the bowl of soup, and they're all not really truly integrated.
Yeah, and this shape, just why would you put that underneath instead of on top? It fits perfectly on top. It's like seeing that puzzle piece that's out of place. You just want to push it right into spot.
So he has like a like a Western
Yeah.
text, you know, at the bottom, like on the bowl and like established date. And the two don't harmonize, like the scripty font and that. They're 2 decorative typefaces, and you don't ever want to mix 2 decorative typefaces. So when you have a decorative typeface, you always mix it with a serif or a sans serif if you need a second font. So so I'd like to see with this particular one, obviously it's like a dry soup if you're going to choose this packaging, and then you'll mix water with it or something.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some ingredients. I'd like to see some instructions on the soup. I'd like to see a little bit more on this particular flavor. You know, so I don't think that I'm, you know, sipping on rocks. Sorry. The Mountain View is different, and I don't think it's needed on the back panel. And then you have like, you know, really large type saying savory goodness to the last drop. I don't mind the tagline, you know, but I think like it needs to, you know, not compete with the logo typeface and take away the stroke. So those are some of the changes I would recommend making. So you just need to fill in your elements. It's not like a, you know what I mean? It's not a collage. It's actual graphic design. So everything needs to feel integrated. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like sort of clip art, rocks, and trees. Just why bother? That doesn't help you.
So I want to see like carrots and potatoes and hearty things, you know?
See, this is a stone carrot, and that's a stone potato.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you add anything, Peter? I don't know.
Well, Delano, I want you to try to develop a sense of craftsmanship. When I see this, some of the you know, the template is shifted, things are off kilter, these images are stretched, and this is normal. These are things that should bother you, and you should be looking at your work with a more critical eye and trying to make sure that you craft things properly so that things line up. If it looks off to us, it should look way off to you. I mean, before it gets out off your computer, you should be having a critical look at your own work to make sure that these little mistakes, like little things that are off kilter, that will kill your career. You won't get a job. If you have work that has easily fixed mistakes in it, that won't get you anywhere. So just be aware of that, because I'm not expecting you to like suddenly fix this in one day, but it's something that you need to work on as you go through the program in order to be successful. True.
That's the last one, or there's more?
There is Angela. Angela did Black Sea Chocolate.
So I think the logo lockup, I think the logo lockup makes sense, but I'd still like to see some refinement in that particular chocolate swirl. So, you know, if you go back and just, you know, refine that a little bit more. And then is there a particular flavor to this one packaging, you know? So it's Black Sea chocolate. Is this one like mint or caramel, or, you know, what, is there a flavor to it? Like another descriptor line that you could add the net weight to that front panel. Again, when you do the screenshots, all of the fonts that are missing are like highlighted in pink. And I think the pattern, because of the extreme color contrast, the zebra color contrast, is coming across a little busy. It might just be the scale at which we're looking at it. Sometimes, you know, you have to print it to see in actual scale, but you may want to take that light purple that you have and use that instead of the white in that pattern, and possibly, you know, just have the wave be continuous as opposed to, you know, having it go
Ending.
so far and then break.
Yeah, right before it gets to the edge.
So I think that this is a good opportunity to maybe offer some visual photography and really make us salivate as we look at the chocolate. So maybe you could actually include an image. So if you bump your whole logo up, logo lockup up, and then you'll have part of that lower panel in order to put some type of imagery.
Yeah. Nicholas. Thurs coffee. It's a hammer on top of a coffee cup or coffee bean. Yeah, that's a coffee bean.
Yeah. So my initial reaction is that you need to hold the shift key. Whenever you're scaling text arbitrarily, just hold the shift key. Typefaces were designed to be used a specific way, and they're not designed to be stretched. You don't ever want to like, oh, I need to fill this space, I'm just going to elongate this font. That distorts the typeface, and you know, my students would always be like, I'm like, your type is stretched. They're like, no, it's not. I'm like, it's stretched. And we'd open the file and it could be 99% by 100%. But
Yeah.
you know, like when you are used to seeing fonts, you can just see when there's a slight distortion. So this is obviously a large distortion. But yeah, so don't feel like again, white space is your friend. You do not have to fill the entire panel. You can let the elements breathe. And think like what else you could add instead of, you know, just a little bit of text and then making it large. Maybe there's a brand story behind why it's called Thurs coffee, where it was sourced, you know, why is it dynamite and powerful? The secondary elements that you've added in the front panels, left and right corners, they don't really translate into meaning. So
Yeah.
Unless they were, you know, repeated and made into a pattern, I don't see them being helpful. I see them being more of a distractor. So again, descriptor line, net weight, and work on those 2 panels that have the stretch tight. So this just looks the same with just like a circus theme on top. So,
I think these are the default colors that are in the template.
oh, okay.
I mean, the reason they're all different colors is to
Yeah,
give
to
you
help them see.
separation.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you got this one. It's a
So
little
yeah,
more white
you're just
space.
missing content, and you need to create that content. So, and content is king.
Hmm. And there are the runes,
Okay.
the
So
mystic
I'm not opposed
runes.
to them, but
What?
like I don't. I'm not a Thor person, so I don't know what those mean. But they just take up a lot of space.
Well, I'd be super impressed if you could read Norwegian or runes. That would be over
No.
the top. All right, Vanessa.
So she went and changed her wheels to circles, like we suggested.
Yeah.
And she took the secondary font for peanut brittle and used a sans serif instead of another script font. And she did a little bit more of a wraparound with the brick. So.
And she's doing this off registration thing, which somehow to me it says 1950s. I don't know. There's something that looks retro about that. It really works well.
Yeah, I talked to her and she is going for a retro look. So.
Yeah, because that's the brand. So there's window.
Okay.
So to make this, what you would do is get a picture of brittle brick, of peanut brittle, and crop it to this window and give a little sort of inset shadow so that it feels like a window, inner glow. But
So yes,
more.
I do like the way that one brick goes around the packaging with the shadow of the peanut.
Look how she matched it up so well.
Yeah. I think that that particular pattern, because there is that, really extreme color contrast of light to dark, it is going to be challenging to put any other supplementary elements on there without actually creating a box for it to, you know what I mean? Because you can't go light and you can't go dark on that. You just have to, put a box over it. So like it comes across just a little busy on behind the nutrition label. So I'm wondering if like, instead of filling the entire panel with the bricks, maybe we could, kind of just do like some rows of bricks and not all the rows have to be complete. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, you could expand the pattern and then just delete certain sections of brick.
Yeah. And I think then that would give you room to, fill the other panels with whatever content you're, desiring. So.
I love this little car. This feels very sort of Saul Bass to me, like this little
I like it too.
cartoon car.
A little
There's
bit
a
more
photo.
white space around the barcode too. So.
Yeah, white space there. That's the best looking photo of peanut brittle I've seen in a while because it's not a particularly pretty thing, but that looks pretty good.
So yeah. This is a nice secondary option, good photography. So yeah, I can't really add too much after that.
Yeah, this drop shadow isn't working, but
I see she's trying to do the off shadow like what she did on the logo, but yeah, I don't think it complements it.
you can put a halftone on this. That's a whole other class. In Photoshop, bring it in, add a halftone filter to it, and give it a real classic look. All right, Rachel, YOLO cookies. You only live once, so why not eat a really unhealthy cookie?
So I can see that she's really, gone in and tried to edit the logo to make it feel more balanced, and like the typography is working much better on it. But my initial reaction when I look at the entire color scheme is I'm feeling like it's soap. like bath and beauty products. I feel relaxed.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's very sedate for this product.
So I'm just wondering what she can do to, you know, push it to feel a little bit more cookie-like. I would scale the logo circle down. I don't think you need all that blue space in there. And then once you move that whole logo lockup up, then I think you could include some imagery of cookies. And I think just putting that visual on the front panel is going to really help give that brand voice to the product. The logo feels off-centered, so you use your align tool to key object to make sure that it's centered to that particular panel.
Yeah. This one too.
Yeah, some
Similar
ingredients.
issues throughout. There's just, see, the thing is, I can see that, Rachel, you're not, you haven't figured out the brand voice because you're just decorating. You're kind of like, well, try this, try that. And nothing has any sort of connection to what the brand is about. So that makes it really hard to work on, because if you're just taking a stab in the dark, you know, virtually anything's possible, and it makes it challenging.
So we got through all of them before the end of the time.
Yes. All right. Well, I'll be back on tomorrow. Will you be back on tomorrow, Professor Wood?
I will.
All right. Great. Can't wait to see what you guys do.
Yes, some great stuff.
All right. Bye.
Bye.